Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here. I'm returning to you tonight for this next movie review. I am so sorry for delaying the movie reviews again, because I've been mostly taking a break from videos because I kind of wanted to have some downtime playing video games for the past few days, so you kind of get my drift. But getting back to what I was originally trying to finish up on was the third quarter of 2024 movies, so we're going to start with this next movie called Wolves with George Clooney and Brad Pitt in it. It's an Apple TV movie that I got a chance to check out for this hour and 48-minute movie. So I'm going to discuss what I watched for this movie overall and let you know my thoughts on it. So let's dive into this movie review. Now, from what I've seen with this film, I gotta say, the chemistry between George Clooney and Brad Pitt is pretty solid in this film, but it starts off kind of iffy, where you're like, okay, so they're hitmen, they did a cleanup job at first, and Brad Pitt's kind of like supervising George Clooney in this film. So pretty much they find this kid or whatever, they call him Kid in this film, and he has to make a drop to return the drugs. So he does do that towards the end of the film, and there's a lot of things that they go through. At first they think the kid's dead. That's what it was at first, and then it turned into something else where he was surprisingly alive. And they were chasing him. Brad Pitt was chasing him through some of the town and all that. But from what I gathered with this film, I think the chemistry was good between George Clooney and Brad Pitt. Because I haven't seen them in a movie since the Ocean's movie. And that was in like 2007. So that was a little while ago. But I think this film was decent. It wasn't one of my favorite films of the year, but it was surprisingly decent. It's not one of the best films I would say that I've seen for 2024, but at least it had a decent story for some of it. There were some okay moments through certain points of the movie, but the ending kind of surprises you, and close to the ending gets slightly a little better. So there's some slight positives and a few hiccups with this film. Like some of the hiccups being certain scenes at the first half of the movie kind of get a little iffy. But the second half is where it takes off a little more. Around the hour mark or so, it gets a little bit better. And that's where I am like, okay, this film is kind of impressing me to an extent. And some of the shootout scenes are pretty interesting for the most part. They have a shootout scene at the very last scene of the film where they're in the diner and having breakfast after the job was done, and then another job comes into play, and some people are trying to kill Brad Pitt and George Clooney at the end of the film. So it was a kind of climatic ending, or so it seems, where if they survive it, they get to work together, I guess. So if I were to give Wolves a score, I'm going to give this movie a 7 out of 10. It's a decent film. I wouldn't say one of my favorite films of 2024, but at least it surprised me towards the second half of the film, and towards the end it got a little bit better, and you start to get to know some of the characters in the film. Some of the other characters are kind of good to forgettable, but everything else about the film was fairly decent, with the chemistry with Brad Pitt and George Clooney, because I have not seen them in a film like what they were just in a while, and they didn't like each other at the beginning of the film. Excuse me, yawning in this video. But I gotta say, the chemistry was a little bit interesting closer to the end of the movie. So 7 out of 10 for Wolves, the 2024 film. The next movie review will be for Never Let Go. I hope you enjoyed this movie review tonight, and thank you guys for watching.